These two men are telling you something very fundamental, and you're all ignoring it, including our media.
Powers cannot be given away without their explicit approval in a referendum. And this is important because, after all, it is not politicians' power to give away. The power belongs to the people.
When Cameron speaks of powers here, he's talking about primary legislation, the acts, the treaties, which were signed with the EU. What he is telling you is that the originating acts of the EEC, Maastricht, Lisbon, etc. were never in the politicians' powers to give away in the first place. But for some goddamn reason which eludes me, the entire country is ignoring this. Yet we have Clegg telling you exactly the same thing. They did not have the power to sign these treaties.
Question we faced in this country for 300 years. Are we to be a self-governing nation or not? And I agree with you. I would like this referendum to take place before the next general election.
And let's turn to Nick Clegg.
I also agree with you, Deborah, that when powers which rightly belong to you and to the British people are passed to the European Union, as happened many times in the past with the rule changes that come along from time to time, the way that the rules are rewritten within the European Union.
But Nick, the rules were rewritten in the EU because you lot transferred powers to them, which you were not entitled to do from day one. You are yet again misleading people, purposefully.
That should never again happen over the heads of the British people.
It never should have from the beginning, and you and Cameron know it.
Then the British people, the consent of the British people should be asked by way of a referendum. That's what I've always believed, that's always been my position.
And it always should have been the case, but you know we're so far down the line now that you feel safe. You're a goddamned liar, Clegg.
I've never wavered in that position. That's why the last time the rules changed, something called the Lisbon Treaty.
Something called the Lisbon Treaty? That is the primary legislation you're waving off as if it's nothing.
I said there should be a referendum. I've gone further than that, actually, now in government. We've actually legislated. It's the first time anyone's ever done that. We've passed into law a legal guarantee for you, Deborah.
A legal guarantee for you, Deborah. Were you a double glazing salesman, Clegg? We don't need a legal guarantee. We elect you to do the job for us you should do, but you don't. You're bought and paid for, you little shit. We also have something called the Constitution, and if people would bloody read it, they may find out why you and Cameron keep saying the power lies with us. And yes, it is written, just not on one document. No foreign states.
Guarantee for you, Deborah, the next time you're asked to give up powers to Europe, the next time the rules change, the next time something else is asked of the United Kingdom within Europe.
The next time. The next time. The next time. But there never is a next time, Clegg, because something always changes to give you the excuse to say, okay, the next time.
It's not going to be the decision of Parliament or politicians or the government of the day. It's going to be your decision in a referendum.
But Nick, the rules change every week. Every single European directive, every single new regulation, every single court judgment, frankly, that comes out of Luxembourg, every single time a new EU law is passed, yet another small chunk, albeit small, and it's incremental, yet another small chunk of our ability to govern our country goes to the institutions of Brussels. And I think the real frustration is that all of you keep using this form of words when there's the next significant change. In the space of this coalition government, we've transferred control of the City of London, we've allowed the EU's foreign policy to become bigger and stronger. And surely, what the lady's really saying is, why don't you trust her? Because they've actually given up believing anything that you say. And if you say the next time there's a big change there'll be a referendum, and Mr. Cameron says it, and Mr. Miliband says it, no one believes you're actually going to deliver. And maybe that's the role of UKIP. Well, maybe the reason we're having this debate is that UKIP are forcing you onto that turf.
And Clegg accepts, because he's checkmated as a lying bastard. But good politicians always accept. then twist.
I accept, and that's why I said to Deborah, we've done something which no government has ever done before, which is you need that guarantee, not just from what different party leaders or politicians say, but you need that in law.
It is in law, Nick. It's called the UK's primary legislation, would you believe? Bill of Rights 1688-89, no foreign princes, prelates or states. Read your history, cretin.
Got that guarantee in law. That's never happened before. And I think Nigel says, let's have a referendum next Tuesday, next Wednesday, next Thursday, every time there's a sort of, a decision taken somewhere else in the European Union. It's really important to remember this is a decision which would have a huge effect, which would have massive consequences on our country for generations to come, for decades to come.
And that is precisely why we are where we are right now. It was people like you who took decisions you had no right to decades ago.
So the idea that you do that sort of flippantly, I think you do.
I accept those who did it decades ago didn't do it flippantly. They did it because it put moolah in their own pockets.
Do it when new powers are being, if you like, asked of the United Kingdom, and those new powers are going to be transferred to the European Union. That's my view. I think if you were to do it now, given how the European Union is in a real state of change and flux at the moment, you've seen all these problems in the Eurozone, they're sort of changing their arrangements.
Yes, it's in a right old bloody state, Nick, you're right. And it's because of the inherent corruption. The EU has never balanced its books yet, not in all the years it's been running. And that, my friend, is a fact.
I don't think we really know what we're having a referendum on.
An admission that you haven't got a damn clue what the EU actually is. The referendum is very simple, Nick. In or out.
So yes, let's have a referendum. Let's have that legally guaranteed in law at the time when new things are asked of the United Kingdom. Mr. Clegg?
Now, that was the Sky debate you just heard. Here's the same words from Clegg during the BBC debate.
It's about time we had our say. It really is.
Nick Clegg.
Sheila, my opinion hasn't changed over many, many years, including in 2008, when we, as a country, were asked to give up new powers to the European Union. The government of the day said, we must do that.
Can I explain to you Nick's and hesitation here? It's because he knows he has no justification as to why the government said we must do that if he is challenged on it. But he wasn't. You see, he has already told you that before any such signing, it is you who must decide.
Through something called the Lisbon Treaties.
And there is that exact same dismissal of something called the Lisbon Treaty, itself the primary legislation treaty.
When the rules change.
But there is a massive deception in Clegg's words here, and he knows it. He suggests the government had to accept the change because of what was stipulated in the treaty, but that's utter crap. You know why? Because it was a treaty itself which was to be accepted or not. So how could a treaty dictate the rules of accepting that same treaty? Mr. Clegg is one not so skilled in my view, immense, deceptive liar.
And I said then, and I believe now, that when the rules change, when there's a new treaty, when powers which rightfully belong to you are being given up.
And there you have it once more. When there is a new treaty, just as I said, the government never should have said, we must, because it was not their decision. It was yours.
If you like, to the European Union by a government. It shouldn't be for that government to decide. It should be for you to decide. That's why there should be a referendum every time that happens. Now, we've gone further, actually, in this government. One of the first things we did in this government was to translate that into law. So you have a legal guarantee in law that when there's a treaty, when new powers have been given up to the European Union, that is not going to happen over your heads, that there'll be a referendum. Now, Nigel Farage and others want a treaty today, or next Tuesday, or next Wednesday.
And here, once more, from his sidekick Cameron, neither of them holding the real power. It is not in politicians' power to give away.
Powers cannot be given away without their explicit approval in a referendum. And this is important because, after all, it is not politicians' power to give away. The power belongs to the people.
They're telling you, but you're not listening. You're not even asking from where they get these words. But you'll keep complaining about your lot, won't you?